We're semi-finalists for the new venture competition, so we have a lot to put together for the pitch, and one piece is making sure that our financial model works. So I met with Lee Carter.
This model is obviously very well thought out, and the way you describe it, I can understand that your assumptions come from somewhere.
But then he asked me a question that we get all the time.
Are you really trying to make prisons a school? Because that just sounds controversial. But school is generally a good thing. If you are like disadvantaged and just want to reset, are you now going to try to go to prison? How do you kind of defend these kind of social questions?
To the point of, will people like purposely commit crimes to go into prison? That already happens. You basically just have communities where you serve your time. The idea of detainment, so you have to stay inside the facility, you can't live with your family, all of these things are still in place, and that is often underestimated as a form of punishment.
Communicating our vision with a wide range of people is an important part of moving Reset forward. We have to sell our vision to philanthropic funders, community members, government, as well as people who spent time in prison and their families. So we're bringing on people like James, who's a community activist, to help us hone our message. James spent several years in prison, but he also worked as a corrections officer, so he's teaching us how to talk about the problem and how to motivate people around the solution. James told us this story about being at a PTA meeting where a proposition had been made to launch a halfway house in the community.
It was in a few blocks from 3 different schools. And so they organized meetings to petition against it.
There was so much resistance to it from the community, but the turning point came when James said,
if as a community, you have 2 people, Mike and Joe. Mike has been able to come out and given the opportunity to move on with his life. And Joe hasn't been given that opportunity. Who do you really want to come in contact with in your community? And by the end of that meeting, you had teachers volunteer for how they could come to the halfway house and give classes. And,
We have so many things going on right now. There's the new venture competition semifinals. We're also heading to California at the end of this month to meet with government officials and some philanthropic funders. And now we're creating our pilot program, which is a model designed for about 60 people. So Ursula and Joyce started out as student advisors, but we've recently brought them on as full members of the team, specifically to help us further develop the education component.
Does it make sense to invest a lot in 2 years of academic investment if they're not going to get a GED?
Not every student will be able to pass the GED after 2 years, that's for sure. But we want to get them the best credential that they can get.
Now we're thinking about mobilizing the community.
In the startup world in a business school, you often talk about the minimum viable product and quickly getting your product out to market, quickly getting customer feedback.
Bringing a new model into
This is a difficult situation because it's not something that we can test. The consequences of our work are huge. We actually have custody over people's lives for a chunk of time. The ultimate test is when it happens.